Okay, hello everyone. Hi.
Hello,
Welcome.
everyone.
There we go. Welcome to the focus activity for level 6 to 7 at 4 p.m. Yay. Um, I'm not sure how many people will be joining us at this time, but when you arrive, please just introduce yourselves because we love to meet all of you. Tell us where you are, tell us what your name is, and yeah, also throughout. I'm gone. No, I'm back. If you answer them, or if you have any of your own questions as well, then feel free to ask us. Um, so I'm Jadene. Hi. And I am from England, and I teach and live in Milan at the moment.
And I'm Michelle. I'm from Pakistan and I teach
And
in Milano,
with
where I'm
me
living.
is Michelle, who I think is here. Michelle, are you with us?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Michelle. I'm from Pakistan and I've been living in Milan for 3 years now. And I teach with Jadene. Jadene and I are both teachers at the same school.
Yeah. So it's very nice. Um, okay, cool. So in today's focus activity, we are talking about natural disasters. So this is quite interesting because Michelle and I both come from very different places. So maybe we have different experiences of a natural disaster.
Hmm.
Um, but in brief, what would you say is a disaster anyway, Michelle?
Well, a disaster is when something terrible happens that causes a lot of damage. We could, for example, we're currently living in a disaster zone. Something terrible has happened and it is causing a lot of damage.
Okay, that's a really, really good description, actually. So a disaster is a noun. Okay, hi Riza, hi Leonardo, welcome, welcome. Um, so Michelle has just defined for us a disaster. So a natural disaster is, oh, and hello Francesco, welcome, welcome. Um, so a disaster is when something terrible happens and causes damage. So a natural disaster is when something terrible has happened, but the thing that's causing the damage is natural, which means that people haven't made it.
Hmm.
So there are definitely some conspiracies I've heard, which are kind of theories and questions about the coronavirus, whether it is natural or whether someone somewhere made it. I don't know. Um, But yeah, it's definitely a disaster. What do you think about it, Michelle? Do you think it was natural or do you have some faith in the conspiracies?
I do have faith in some conspiracies sometimes. And initially, I was skeptical as well. But I believe they've done a few tests on it since then, and they've proved that this is a natural disease. It isn't something that was manufactured in a laboratory. So now I'm inclined to believe um, it was not. It was natural in some way.
Okay, okay, so then we will stick with coronavirus is a natural disaster.
What do you
Let
think?
um I also think probably it's natural, but you never know. I
This is
don't know.
true.
Yeah, I think definitely powerful people often do things that a slang word we would say at home is shady. So if
Mm.
something is shady, something is suspicious, and maybe coronavirus is natural, but I'm sure there are plenty of other things around us that are not exactly what they seem to be, but I don't know what. I don't know what.
Absolutely. We've seen plenty of movies, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to live a nice peaceful life. Just little old me, living a peaceful life. If anyone in the comments thinks or has any conspiracies, obviously not the topic of today's focus, but I would be interested to hear them because I do quite like conspiracy theories. I enjoy them.
Yeah, they're fun.
I mean, they're horrible always, but also fun. Okay. So Michelle, do you want to read the slide?
Sure. In this focus activity, vocabulary for natural disasters, present perfect versus past simple to talk about recent world disasters, preparing a safety plan, and interview with a survivor.
Okay, so I'm not sure if we will get through all of this, but we will see what we can do. We will definitely get through the first 2 points anyway. So, what are natural disasters?
Mm.
Michelle, will you read it?
Mm-hmm. I think the screen has frozen
Okay.
on my end, but I'm just
Okay,
reading
no
it.
problem. No problem. So, a natural disaster, we've kind of defined this already. But a natural disaster is an extreme and sudden event caused by an environmental factor that injures people and causes extensive damage. So if something is extensive, it just means that there is a lot of it. They can strike or they can happen anywhere in the world, often without any warning. So if there's no warning, people are usually unprepared. So can anybody think of any natural disasters that they know of? Maybe that they've experienced. I hope not. Um, but yeah, maybe some natural disasters they've heard of. For example, there's one in this picture. I'm not sure how much of a disaster it is, but something is definitely happening. And I know recently as well, there was a natural disaster, natural, that happened in Venice not too long ago.
Mm.
So maybe you know why I'm talking about Misha.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen or been involved in any natural disasters in your life?
No, I've been fairly lucky. I have never been a victim of any sort um, in a natural disaster. I've never experienced any myself. Have you?
No, I don't think so. So I have also been lucky. Um, there have been some natural disasters in England at home, but they are
Mm-hmm.
always very mild. So no one really in the south of the UK anyway, no one really gets injured. There's not really a lot of damage, so they are very mild. But in other countries, the same type of disaster is usually a lot stronger and causes a lot more damage. So, um, and just before we keep going as well, maybe Michelle, could you describe to us what's happening in this picture? Or does anybody know as well? Because you're welcome to write to us.
Okay. So
Hi, Alex.
unfortunately, hi, Alex. So in the picture I see, I can see the sea, and the sky is dark, and it there appears to be a storm. I see lightning, and I
Mhm.
assume it is raining, and there is also some thunder.
Yes. So remind me again what thunder is.
Right. Thunder is the loud noise you hear during a storm, the bang in the sky. And
Okay,
lightning is the flash of light we can see in the picture itself.
exactly. But yeah, as you mentioned, usually they come together. So, how many natural disasters can you guys think of, if any? So for example, what I was talking about earlier is in Venice a few months ago, and maybe in some other Italian cities in the north, there was a problem because all the water in the canals had overflowed. So there was too much of it, and there was water everywhere. And we have a word for this when there's water everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
if anyone knows the word, tell us. Um, but it causes a big problem because water can cause a lot of damage. It can soak, which is when everything is very wet, all of your possessions. If you have any electrical items, obviously it can cause damage. It can weaken the foundation of your houses, meaning that your houses might fall down. So this is one type of natural disaster. Um, can you think of any more, Michelle, that we can describe?
Mm, earthquake. Italy, central Italy, does receive several earthquakes. So that is something that immediately jumped out.
Okay. So what happens in an earthquake?
In an earthquake, the ground shakes
Mm-hmm.
and it shakes quite violently depending on how strong the earthquake is. And because of that, buildings fall down.
Yeah, exactly. So well done, guys. Your comments have just started to come through. Um,
Hmm.
so I've forgotten the name of this person, but don't forget it's earthquake, not heartquake. So exactly like Alex has spelt it, earthquake is when the ground is shaking.
Hmm.
A flood, and thank you both of you. That's what I was describing. So when there's too much water in an area of land, we say it has flooded. Um, and also a tsunami. Amazing. So what's a tsunami, Michelle?
Mm. A tsunami is Leonardo first has a question. Is
Ah, okay.
overflow when there is a lot of rain and the rivers are full of water? So to overflow is a verb. And yes, when there is a lot of rain and the rivers are full of water and the water comes out of the river, you can say the rivers are overflowing. But you could also use the verb to describe your coffee. For example, if you put your coffee in a mug and it came out of the mug because there was so much coffee, you could say the cup is overflowing.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's ever too much water in a place, as Michelle put, it comes out of the vessel or it spills, which is when some water or some liquid lands somewhere else, then this is an overflow.
Okay, so
Um,
going back to tsunami, right? Um, a tsunami is it occurs in the sea or the ocean. So when the ground beneath the ocean moves, it creates a really large wave. So a huge
mm,
wall of water because the ocean moves and a huge wall of water is created, which then moves towards the shore and it moves
mm,
towards the beach. And it's a very large wall of water which covers many thousands of miles and
yeah,
drowns everything um, in its way. And what's really dangerous about a tsunami is not the initial flood of water, but it's when the water recedes and it pulls back to the ocean or the sea and it drags everything with it.
really, I didn't know that.
The
Yeah,
current is very strong.
okay. Yeah, I know people can be caught in what's called a rip tide, which I think
Mm.
is when you keep getting caught in the current that's going back, and you're unable to swim out of it. But yeah, as Alex said, tsunami is probably generated by an earthquake under the sea. That is exactly what
Mm-hmm.
happens. Although, also, a tsunami can be generated from a block of earth or ice falling into the sea. I'm not sure. Possibly.
It
Maybe if
seems
there was
probable.
a lot like,
Like I
maybe I'm
suppose.
not. Sorry. um. Okay. What about this one?
Hmm. So I would just say hail. I don't know if I would say hailstone. I would say hailstorm, possibly.
But is this a natural disaster?
A hailstorm. It could be if it gets really bad,
Okay.
right?
So
Like
what are hailstones?
hailstones are tiny. Well, not tiny. They're circles of ice. They're about this big, as big as a tennis ball, and they're frozen and they fall from the sky the same way rain falls from the sky. And the danger is that they can break the glass on your
Mm,
car. They could hit you on your head. So like Jadine said, I don't know if it's a natural disaster, but it's pretty dangerous.
yeah. Yeah, a disaster, I think, has to be dangerous to a lot of people at the same time. Maybe if there was a lot of hail in a big area for hours, okay, this can be a problem. But if it's like maybe half an hour, I don't know if it's enough time to really cause a disaster.
True.
Um, but okay, but this one, a blizzard. So what's a blizzard?
Hmm. A blizzard is a snowstorm. So it's
Yes.
snowing and it's really, really cold. There's a lot of wind. There's no visibility. All you see is white. That is how I would describe a blizzard.
Okay. And this made me laugh.
That's adorable.
Thank you.
Francesco says a heartquake is when the heart shakes.
Very nice. You'll have to tell us of a time, Francesco, when you've had a heartquake. I'd be interested to hear. Um, I don't know if it's correct to call it hailstones. I mean, grandina. I don't know what grandina is. But
Hailstone.
oh yeah, hailstones are. It's the same as a raindrop, a hailstone. But if there's a lot of it, you would say there is hail or it's hailing in the same way you would say it's raining.
Hmm.
Oh, and this is great as well.
So
Um,
Leonardo says that a volcanic eruption, is one of the most dangerous natural disasters. Yep, it's definitely very dangerous because you don't have any time to escape or evacuate. It erupts and the lava spews out and incinerates everything within minutes. It
yeah.
is definitely scary.
I guess that Italy is actually quite an interesting country because it's so long. So you guys you have volcanoes, you have snow in the mountains, you have the sinking cities, you're surrounded by water. I mean, it's definitely you're a country, I guess, that we can say is prone to disaster, which means it's very likely that natural disasters can happen there. So yeah, it's amazing, I think, that there aren't more disasters in Italy, but fingers crossed it stays that way. So here are some other examples, and we can see how many you all got. Michelle, do you want to read?
Sure. Um, we have an earthquake, a tsunami, heat wave, volcanic eruption, an avalanche, flood, landslide, severe thunderstorm, a blizzard, a tornado, a forest fire, hurricane, and drought.
Okay, so there are just a couple more words we can talk through just to make sure you understand what they are. But the first point I want to make is with tsunami as well. I hope you all remember that the T in tsunami is silent, so we
Mm-hmm.
pronounce it as if it starts from S.
Bless you. Excuse me.
Bless you. Oh
Thank
yeah,
you.
we say tsunami. We do not pronounce the T in English. Um, so
Excuse me. I think I'm done now.
okay, so we have a heat wave, which is literally just when there is a long period of heat, and this can be dangerous because things can burn, people can dehydrate very quickly. It can lead to what we call a drought, and a drought is when there is no rain. So lots of hot places get droughts, and when there's no rain, they have less water. They can't grow any crops, so it can be really dangerous as well. Then we have an avalanche and a landslide. So Michelle, what is the difference between an avalanche and a landslide?
A landslide is a result of um, instability of some sort. And the main difference is that the avalanche happens in the mountains, and it's when snow falls, large quantities of snow fall down the mountain. But a landslide doesn't have to happen on a mountain, it can happen literally anywhere. And it's basically when some instability moves earth, dust, not dust, but mud, and it falls down.
Exactly. Um, there you go. So Alex has put a comment.
Hmm.
So sometimes in winter we have, I don't know how to say this, gelitibio. I hate this
Um,
word,
Jellycidio.
gelitibio.
I,
I
I would
hate,
imagine.
I hate this word, but it's when the temperature falls down in the night and when you wake up, everything is frozen, frozen. Do we have a word for this when everything is frozen in the night?
I think you call that a glazed frost.
I'm not sure.
I think that's what you call it. I've never experienced it myself, but I think it's when everything is frozen, but you can see through it. It's almost transparent, and
Ah,
we call that a glazed frost. But I don't know if that's exactly the same thing as a gelicidio.
okay, interesting. Um, so yeah, we have thunderstorms, we have forest fires, which of course, if you any of you read the news, I think almost all of last year, Australia was completely on fire. Um, and we have hurricanes and tornadoes. Now, I'm not sure what the difference is between a hurricane and a tornado. Maybe one is on water, but they are both what happens when the air spins around very quickly, the wind in the air, and it can suck everything up. Ah, yes, it's glazed frost. Okay, cool.
Oh, nice. So I think the main difference between it's like you said between a hurricane and a tornado is that a tornado takes place over the water, like over an ocean,
Oh.
whereas a hurricane is when a wait, I think so. Or have I confused it?
I think maybe the other way around,
Yeah,
but
the other way
I'm not
around.
sure.
A hurricane takes place over an ocean, and a tornado takes place over land.
Okay. So yeah, if anyone has any questions about these disasters or what they are, please write them in the comments now. Or if you have any stories or any times you heard of or experienced one of these and you want to share, then you are also welcome to do that. So we have a question. What do
Mhm.
you think is the worst type of natural disaster and why? Ooh, okay. So this is also for everybody. Everyone is welcome to answer. Michelle,
Okay, I think
my
we're
prime student.
okay. According to me, I think the worst natural disaster is a tsunami.
Okay, and why?
I think this is mostly shaped through experience because I'm from a part of the world which has seen a tsunami in the past decade. So the effects of it are really brutal because a lot of people just simply disappear because they drown and their bodies are pulled back into the ocean, and then there are dead bodies turning up
Oh wow.
around
Okay.
beaches. It's morbid. It's morbid.
Yeah, hello. Um, but no, it's interesting. I was also going to say the same thing. But I think it's probably because of the tsunami, maybe in 2005. I don't know if that's wrong, but
Right.
the very large one, that happened. Just because I think no one is prepared to stop a tsunami. I don't know how you can stop the the water moving. I think with fires, with hurricanes, etc. Obviously, no one is ever completely prepared, but there are
Hmm.
some kind of means to put out a forest fire, or you can try, or to barricade or protect people from a hurricane. You can deliver food from elsewhere for a drought. Um, but yeah, tsunami I think is for me the scariest. Um, Leonardo says, in my opinion, the worst disasters, because two, are tsunamis and earthquakes together. Okay, fair enough. And tell us why as well. And Alex, it depends on where you live. Okay, so expand. Guys, where do you think each disaster is a bigger issue? Okay, and also Rafaela. So I think one of the worst types, because don't forget, it's one of many things, of natural disaster is an earthquake. Okay. So also tell us why, but it seems like everyone is on the same the same kind of page. But it's also interesting because I think earthquakes are quite common as well. So maybe one of the worst, but also one that we see the most. I can't really, I know obviously there have been volcanic eruptions in the past, and probably these are horrible, but they are not so common that I think people don't feel as scared.
True.
Hmm, okay. So Alex now says, I think earthquakes because earthquakes generate tsunamis, avalanches, landslides, and you risk losing everything. Okay, interesting. So I just want to point out two things. So firstly, if we talk generally, guys, then we always use the plural. So I think earthquakes in general are dangerous because earthquakes generate tsunamis, etc. Um, and the second thing is when we use the word risk, we always follow it with an ing verb. I
Hmm.
can't think of any examples without. So yeah, we always risk doing, losing, gaining, etc. Okay, so Rafaela, and Riza both think, like you, Michelle, coronavirus is the natural disaster. Okay, but really interesting. So, Sabrina um, thinks, in her opinion, the worst type of natural disaster is a heat wave or global warming, which is true. Global warming is like a giant heat wave,
Hmm.
because it's dangerous for everybody. Yes, that's true. That's
Hmm.
really interesting. Okay, great. So, okay, Michelle, do you want to read these questions?
Sure. Have you or someone you know ever experienced a natural disaster? What happened? Have there been any natural disasters in the world recently? What happened? What caused it? Were there any casualties, fatalities? Which natural disasters occur in your country?
Hmm. But if you, we can just do the slide quickly. If
Hmm.
nobody wants to answer the first one, that is okay. If you have had a natural disaster, you do not need to to tell us about
Yeah,
it.
let's just move on to the second question.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
So speaking about natural disasters that have happened recently, like Jadene said, we have the fires in Australia. And I want to say the fires in the Amazon as well, but they were part natural and part man-made.
Mm, that's really true.
And JD mentioned the floods in Venice, the earthquake in central Italy, the earthquakes there.
Mm.
Um, what else? There's been a lot.
There
Hurricanes
are,
in the
yeah, the
US.
world is a really crazy place to live in right now. It's not safe for anybody.
So true.
um, maybe we'll move on actually from this part is a bit dark. But good point, Francesco. I honestly think that each natural disaster is the worst because we're talking about each thing as singular, so each thing is worse. Um, but it's natural and we can do nothing against these events. True, although maybe some processes are increased or happen more or faster because of activities we do. For example, I think things like fracking, which is where
Mhm.
you drill into the ground, is a cause for a lot of earthquakes because it destabilizes the ground. So I don't know. I don't know if I really agree. Do you have any opinions, Michelle?
No, I agree. I do think that these are natural disasters that do happen every once in a while, but I think we can see from records that in the past 10 years, we are having more natural disasters which last longer. It's getting progressively worse because of the damage we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, so um let's quickly take a look at vocabulary. So we've spoken a lot about this stuff already, guys. So I feel like we'll be able to do this quite quickly. On the left, we have five natural disasters, and on the right, we have a possible cause for these disasters. So, Michelle, what is a cause?
A reason for.
Okay, so we're not looking for the definition or the result. We're looking
Mhm.
to see the reason for these disasters. So let us know what you think. We have a landslide, a drought, a wildfire. So we didn't use the word wildfire before, but a wildfire is literally just a fire in nature. Um, a tornado and an avalanche. So when the snow falls. And then on the right, we have the causes. So lightning, carelessness, arson, and volcanic eruption. What is carelessness?
It's when someone does not pay attention to what they're doing. For example, you go camping. Camping is when you go and sleep outside in nature. You go camping and you light a fire. You make a fire to keep yourself warm, but you forget to put the fire out properly. And that leads to a forest fire. So you were careless.
Okay, so careless is the verb, and carelessness is the noun for when people are careless. Then we have unstable air in the atmosphere, severe deficiency in water supply, when a buildup of material is released, and earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or general instability of the surrounding land. Ah, okay, Alex, maybe I said it in another focus, but I think the causes are people and how we use our planet. Like all of the causes. And you're probably right, actually. Um, so yeah, I can't really argue with that. Um, but for the purpose of this cause and effect activity, does anyone have any answers? So for a landslide, which of these reasons on the right may have caused a landslide? So when the land falls somewhere, what do you think? And thank you guys as well for being so interactive already, because as we always say, it makes the activity so much better for us when you interact with us.
Absolutely. Landslide, I would think that landslide is the last one. Earthquake, volcanic eruptions, or general instability in the surrounding area.
Exactly, exactly. So as someone mentioned earlier, earthquakes can cause landslides as well as tsunamis, etc. Um, so then for drought, what do
Mm.
we think? If we remember what drought is, what do you think is the most likely cause of drought?
I believe the most likely cause of drought is a severe deficiency in water supply.
Exactly. So what? Oh yeah, excellent, Alex. So he said instability for landslide. So what is a deficiency?
A deficiency is when something is lacking, so when there isn't enough water.
Okay, exactly. And then we have wildfires. So I think this one is quite obvious, but what is the cause of a wildfire? Or what are some causes?
Can be caused by lightning, carelessness, arson, and a volcanic eruption.
Exactly. And I know you put earlier as well, Michelle, but arson is when you deliberately, so when you choose to set something on fire. And Alex, that's great, but don't forget that we talk about drought. Drought is third person, so it. So we always conjugate it doesn't rain, not it don't rain. Um, then we have tornadoes. So what would
I would
we
guess unstable air in the atmosphere,
exactly? So when the air in the atmosphere stops stabilizing and starts moving around, it can cause a tornado. So finally, we have avalanche.
which is oh, this is tough. Mm. Okay, so I'm going to say it's when a buildup of material is released.
exactly. And the material is usually the snow or some rocks underneath the snow. Um, okay, so maybe for our final task,
Mm-hmm.
how many of these there are? Oh,
We have a true or false quiz. That could be fun.
yeah, no, no, I think so. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry, guys. I thought I was doing it. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Can you see this?
Yeah, it's frozen. I thought it was just my computer because it kept freezing.
Oh, no, no. I think it was me. It was me. I'm so confused. Okay. Okay, so here we have a true or false quiz. I think it's my internet. Sorry, guys. Um, so yeah, Michelle, do you want to read them out?
Sure.
And everyone watching can decide if these statements are true or false.
Shouting loudly can cause an avalanche. True or false? What do you think, Jadene?
Um, I I always thought it was true because I've seen it in movies, but I don't know. So we'll find out though.
Hmm.
Um, but everyone else, please guess, please guess. And then, what do you think? Do you think it's true or false?
I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like it could be true because I have seen it in movies, but it would have to be a really loud voice to shake
Yeah, well,
off layers of snow.
Alex and Madeleine both say false. So okay, let's see. Oh, it's false.
Mm.
Okay, well that surprises me. Okay, but now I know I can shout in the mountains and it's okay. Okay.
Okay. Number two, small forest fires can be good for the ecosystem.
Okay, so Leonardo thinks this one is false.
Hmm.
I think it's true because um I don't know. Maybe no, maybe it's false. But it says small, so I feel like maybe it clears something.
I
Um
agree. I think it's true.
Alex also thinks it's true, but for the first one he tells us in cartoons avalanches
Maybe.
can be caused. Okay, that's true. Um okay, so Leonardo thinks false, Alex thinks true, and the answer is true. Okay, it can remove dead brush and allow for new growth. Interesting.
What do they refer to over here when they say brush? Because they're not talking about your hairbrushes or your toothbrushes, right?
No, so I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's like parts of other trees. That's what I
Right.
think, but I'm not sure. So yeah, I think parts of trees that are dead or dying,
Hmm.
or like if there are too many trees in an area, maybe they struggle to all get enough nutrients, enough sunlight, enough water, so it can get rid of some of them.
Right. I think you're right. When you refer to the brush in terms of nature, I think we're talking about the undergrowth of the forest, so the tiny trees and the tiny
Mm,
little bushes and things like that.
okay. So then we have number three. Do you want to read it, Michelle?
Number three,
Yeah.
volcanoes add nutrients to the soil.
Okay, so everyone has said true. I also think true. What do you think?
Yep, I think this is definitely true because I think back to Catania, and they have a mountain there, a volcano there, Mount Etna, and it is some of the most fertile soil around.
Okay, cool. So well
Hmm.
done, guys. Okay, and four.
Tsunamis can only travel for about 100 miles.
Okay, so we have Leonardo false, Maddalena false. What do you think?
I definitely false.
Yeah, they can travel for thousands of miles. Okay,
Hmm.
okay, so five.
There are thousands of earthquakes across the earth each day.
Hmm. Okay, so Leonardo and Maddalena both say true.
Hmm.
Really? What do you think?
I think it's true. There are many, many tiny earthquakes that don't really cause much damage, so they're not registered.
Hmm. I don't know. I and Alex also says true. Okay. Yes, but most are too small to be detected. Hmm. Okay, so then finally,
Last one, 3 out of every 4 tornadoes happen in the US. What do you think?
maybe.
This
Maybe,
sounds right to me. Because
yeah, I
every
mean,
time I hear about a tornado, it's 90% of the time in the US.
yeah, I think if it said the US and like the Caribbean, it would
Mm.
definitely be true. But just the US, I'm not sure. Leonardo says it's false. Alex says it's true. Okay. It's true. Wow. Wow. Okay, that's scary. But there you go. The more you know. Um, so we have just 3 minutes left of this lesson. I think probably we should just do a summary. It took a
Hmm.
bit longer than I thought, but that's fine. So if anyone has any questions, tell us now. Ask us now. Now is a good time. Um, but in summary, so
But yeah, let's just recap. Let's recap all the natural disasters we spoke about, and let's talk about that in terms of our country. So, in my country, I haven't experienced. There are earthquakes. There are earthquakes. There aren't tsunamis. There aren't any tsunamis. There are definitely heat waves. There are no volcanic eruptions. No yes, avalanches in the north. Yes, there are floods. Yes, there are landslides. We don't have very severe thunderstorms. We don't have very severe blizzards or tornadoes. We don't have fires, nor do we have hurricanes, but we do have some drought.
okay, and in my country, we do have earthquakes, but we do not have tsunamis. I think we wish we had heat waves, but we do not. We do not have volcanoes, so we don't have volcanic eruptions. We do not have snowy mountains, really, so we don't have any avalanches. We do have floods. We do not have landslides. We do not have severe thunderstorms or blizzards. We do sometimes have tornadoes, but we do not have forest fires, hurricanes, or droughts. So we didn't really have time to go into this, but for your knowledge anyway, if we are talking about anything that has happened um, in the past at a time we don't know about, but there is still a chance for it to happen again in the future, we can use the present perfect. So Michelle said, I haven't experienced, or I can say there have been some earthquakes, but there's still the opportunity for there to be more in the future. So there have been some earthquakes. There can be more. Okay. So if there are no questions, thank you guys for being so interactive, and it was really lovely. Yeah, getting to engage with all of you.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in. That was a fun class.
Bye bye.